Hey everybody, welcome back to World History with Mr. Finn. We are finishing our Protestant Reformation today. It's a little bit short because we've done so much of it, but we need to move it on because we're actually getting fairly close to the end of the year, so we have some major events that we have to hit on to get us moving towards 2021. So we're in the 1500s right now. We're talking about the Protestant Reformation with Martin Luther trying to reform the Catholic Church. We're going to look at a couple of other events that happened during that time period. One was with John Calvin. John Calvin is going to have his own ideas. And as I said, people start to have their own ideas about what their relationship is with God, and all these other Christian religions start to kind of pop up. Calvinists, as they will be called, are people that believe in the teachings of John Calvin. So if you believe in these things, you would be a Calvinists. You'd be a Calvinist, but the number of them in groups are referred to as Calvinists. So, what is the main idea? So the reason why we bring up someone like John Calvin during this Protestant Reformation is because he is going to have his own ideas that are new ideas. And one of those big ones that is a cornerstone of Calvinist is this idea of predestination. Long word. Predestination. It's actually pretty easy to explain because it's talking about your final destination, where you will end up. And that is going to be predetermined. So, you're predestined to go to heaven or to hell if you are a believer in this. If you are a Christian believer, a follower of John Calvin, you believe in this predestination, which I'll write you a definition for our notes. And this is the idea that it's kind of a hard definition, I guess, to write. The idea that it is determined before, I'll write that in with a capital, before, long definition, your birth. Let me make sure I'm doing this. It's a long one. The idea that it is determined before your birth if you, you know what, to make it easier? Not if you, but before your birth, where you will end up. Boom. That might be one of the longest definitions we have in class because it is very specific. That before you are born, it is determined if you will be going where you end up when you pass away. Your goal is to get to heaven. The idea is that there's purgatory in between heaven and hell, and you could go to one or the other. But in the Calvinist religion, before you're born, it's already been determined. You're going to either end up in one or two spots, and it's already been determined. Like there's nothing you can do to change where you're going to end up. And that means that this gives Calvinists, this word that I'm going to write, conviction in what they are doing. Calvinists have this conviction or this strong belief. They know that, hey, look I'm doing good things. This means that I am destined to go to heaven. Look at how I act. Look at the nice things that I do. I'm following the religion. They don't believe in this idea that you can have these decisions in your life and that will affect where you go. It has been predetermined where you will end up when you do pass away. And so these Calvinists are going to be very devout, is the word. They're going to strongly believe in this religion, strongly believe in where they are going, and they believe that the good things that they do is showing that they are one of the people who has been predestined to be in heaven. So, the reason why we bring him up again is because of this idea. You can see this is a new Christian idea that is not in line with, let's say, the Catholic Church and the idea of free will and doing good deeds and following what it says in the Bible will determine kind of where you end up in the end. Another thing that happens during this time period, we are going to see a king. King Henry, Roman numerals for kings. The V is a 5, and then 6, 7, 8. So King Henry VIII is going to, essentially what he's going to do is break away from the Catholic Church, kind of like John Calvin and Martin Luther and these other people who were doing this during the time. However, he is a king of England. So the King of England, I'll just tell you the story so you don't have all the notes because you're going to look up him today. I'll give you a quick rundown of Henry VIII. So Henry VIII wants an heir to his throne. He wants a son. He wants to have a boy. But he keeps having girls. And if you don't know this, I will tell you this in science class and genetics and DNA and all that stuff. The man in the relationship between a male and a female, his genes and his DNA and everything determines the gender of the baby. So the silly thing is here, Henry VIII is blaming his wife, like, you keep giving me girls, but science will tell us that it's him. He is the reason he keeps having females, because it is on the male that determines the gender when you have a baby. So in the end, however, he wants to annul his wedding, annul his marriage. Annul means basically to cancel, it cancels your wedding. So it's not like a divorce, it's almost as if it did not happen. And he says to the Pope, the Catholic Church, hey, can you annul my wedding so I can get married again, so I can try and have a boy this time? And the answer is no. And he is upset by this, so he urges Parliament, the government in the Congress equivalent in England, to, decree him the head of his own Church of England, which they do, and England breaks away from the Catholic Church, making England a Protestant country. So, England becomes a Protestant country. The king himself urges Parliament to break away. They do break away. He is now the leader of the Anglican Church in England. He is now the leader of a Protestant country. We now have a country who has deemed itself not Catholic. It is not going to abide by the Catholic Church. It is an entire country that has broken away. It is a Protestant country. King Henry VIII did this all because he wanted to have an heir to his throne. But again, Henry VIII is the topic of our assignment today. I'm going to make it short because I want to get this going. So, 3 facts about Henry VIII. Just so I can have this turned in as an assignment, so I can put this down for participation and attendance purposes. Notes, and then look up Henry VIII and just give me 3 facts about him, because it's a very interesting character to break away from the Catholic Church. I mean, that's a pretty big, bold move by someone. However, he is the king, so that does make a little bit of sense. So anyway, let's get that to me today. 3 facts about Henry VIII. But the overall theme of today is the Protestant Reformation was in Germany. Stuff was happening in France, England. It is all over Europe. We have seen this break between Catholic and Protestant. Everyone considers themselves Christian, but now what type of Christian are you? And there's all of these different examples of things happening. However, in the middle of this, we are talking next time about the age of exploration. Europe is about to get out there looking for stuff, which I'll tell you about, but today, get this to me. And then we'll move forward from there. So I will see you next class.